Hello and welcome back to the Mouse Gun Chip. Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. This time we are talking about the Colt JR. In the post-war period through the late 1960s, very small caliber concealable pistols were very, very popular, and the vast bulk of these were imported from Europe. The Gun Control Act of 1968, after politicians realized that poor people and non-whites were primarily buying these guns, decided to outlaw their import in the name of stopping the crime that these guns weren't used in. Whatever. You couldn't import them anymore. Now, Colt, some years previously, had wanted to introduce a replacement for their vest pocket model of 1908. Reasonable, it had been 60 years. And so they thought, well, it's expensive to develop a new gun. But Astra makes nice little guns. In fact, the Astra Cub, available in 25 ACP or 22 short for some reason, was a good quality, nice little gun, and they'd be happy to sell bunches of them marked as Colts to Colt for them to sell to we the people. And this was working out rather well for everyone involved until the Gun Control Act of 1968 meant Colt couldn't import them anymore. So what Colt did was they imported parts kits that they would then assemble in the United States into guns. And this is one of those guns. And this did not result in any appreciable change in quality or fit and finish or anything. The Astra guns were nice, the Colt guns are nice. They're the same gun, just with different markings. And they continue to make them and sell them for a number of years, and they're a good, solid, reliable little gun. For what they are. So it's a very small gun, as you can see. So let's have a look at it on the tabletop. Okay, first off, let me apologize for the fan noise in the background by not apologizing for the fan noise in the background. The Puget Sound region has belatedly realized that late June is actually summer, and I would be uncomfortably warm out here without the fan on. So we'll all just have to do the best we can. Now, the Colt JR is a very small gun. It's about in the range of 4.5 inches long by about 3.25 inches high. And as you can see in my large but not absurdly large mitt, it's pretty small. And it is a single action semi-automatic. It does have a magazine safety, so we're not going to completely remove the magazine, except to show you that it's empty. And the chamber is empty. So, single action, hammer fired, manual safety right here, which is pretty easy for most people to reach and deactivate. So ideally you'd carry this cocked and locked, ready to go. The trigger pull it's a bit heavy, but pretty decent otherwise. And the reset is very short and nice crisp release. So, a little heavy, but good. The heel magazine release is on the side, more like an old Beretta. And slide does not lock back open on empty. And that's the mechanical essentials of the gun for you. It fires, of course, the 25 ACP cartridge, which is, from a gun this size, roughly equivalent to 22 long rifle, but has a better shape for feeding in semi-autos, and has a center fire primer for enhanced reliability. And as I mentioned, this gun is quite reliable, unless you try to feed it gold dot hollow points, in which case it chokes. Which is fine, because the gold dot hollow point loads don't penetrate deeply enough. And they don't particularly expand either. The 35 grain bullet just isn't going fast enough to make the energy it needs to have the penetration it needs to be reliable. Now, to dismantle the gun, it's pretty simple. Remove the magazine, put the safety on, and when you pull the slide back, the safety catch will engage this notch in the slide. Again, this is not a slide hold open. This is a disassembly notch. The barrel, which has these cute little grooves for traction, you then rotate until you can't anymore. Release the slide, and it comes right off the front. And be careful to capture the recoil spring and guide rod when it does. And then the barrel just comes out in a fairly conventional fashion. There we go. It slid right out once it was aligned correctly. Okay, you have to return the barrel to its normal position to get it to come out. And that's all there is to it. To disassemble it for cleaning or what have you, ultimately simple. And nothing at all unconventional in here. It's a simple straight blowback pistol. The sights, which I have enhanced with a little bit of white, are not what you would call wonderful. They're pretty terrible. But they are useful. You can use them, and it's worth doing. But, like I said, there's not much to them. You have a shallow notch in the rear. You have a tiny little post in the front. Some nice serrations to reduce glare if you're looking at the wrong part of the gun. And as you can see, it's really a nicely made pistol. I mean, the quality of the finish is really quite good. And again, the Astras are the same. They are finished to the same standard as the Colt. So, let's reassemble. Hopefully this will not be too much of a pain. There's a point in here at which I can rotate this. Sort of. There we go. Lock the slide back with the lever, rotate the barrel, release the slide. My God, I have never had so much trouble, but then I've never done a video of this before. Naturally, I would have trouble. So, magazine holds 7 rounds of 25 ACP, which is what it is. So it's a good quality, reliable, simply made gun that just, if you accept the mission, it's a good tool for the job. So speaking of the mission, what is the mission? Well, the mission of the Colt Jr. or guns like it is to be there when you cannot reasonably have something bigger. And we all have different lives, we all have different circumstances. There are sometimes in some of our lives a time where discretion trumps virtually all other considerations. Now, that being said, despite the minimal sights and somewhat heavy trigger, I find it very easy to put shots into a small area at 7 yards quite rapidly. And the individual stopping power of 25 auto cartridges is nothing to write home about. But if I put 8 of them in somebody's face in a couple seconds, they're liable to reconsider their life choices. Make of it what you will. Again, if you accept the mission, which is to be a gun when you can't have a gun, good tool for the job. I would not recommend it to anyone as primary carry, not even James Bond. Anyway, it's not a Beretta, so he wouldn't care. So, that's about it for the Colt Jr. If you like the video, please hit like. and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're highly motivated to assist in this endeavor, feel free to click the link below in the description to support me on Patreon. I hope this finds you well. Stay safe and take care.